Hello there. It is the 22nd of June 2017. Thank you so much for joining us on KTN Prime. I'm Linda Ogutu. Just 46 days to the August 8th general election. So tonight we have a very interesting feature that has been done by John Alan Namu on how prepared are the police to secure the election. He will be here in the studio with me in a couple of minutes to explain some of the details that you'll see in that story. But apart from that, we're also looking at the big stories of the day. Let's take a look at the highlights.
That is, up to your lordship.
NASA now files case to stop ballot printing.
If we interfere with that process in any way, it is going to interfere with the elections, and there is no question of us not holding a general election on 8th of August.
You have misunderstood the Chief Justice, Judiciary says after Chief Justice promises to speed up election cases.
Mtu wa kitendawili ambao kazi yake ni kukuja kugawa Wakenya kwa misingi ya kikabila.
He told me that this is a Jubilee function and that I was not welcome.
Independent candidates find it rough in Central as Uhuru leads Jubilee rallies.
We took samples, both food items and water from the hotel, to National Public Health Lab to find out what it could be.
And Health Ministry probing cholera infection of 15 doctors at Western Hotel. Welcome to the program. Our sign language interpreter at the bottom end of your screen is William Sila. Sila, thank you. Tonight, Kenya could be staring at an uncertain future after the Kenyan opposition under the National Super Alliance formally moved to the High Court, challenging their word of the 2.5 billion shilling ballot paper printing tender to Dubai-based firm Al Ghurair. NASA moved to court even as Chief Justice David Maraga declared in Homa Bay that the August general election will not be postponed. Our senior political affairs reporter, Chris Thairo, begins our bulletin tonight.
With just hours to the commencement of the printing of 120 million ballot papers for the August 8th elections by the Dubai-based Al Ghurair company, the standoff over the award of 2.5 billion shillings tender has now taken a turn into the corridors of justice. In a petition filed under a certificate of urgency, the National Super Alliance has asked the High Court to block Al Ghurair from printing any ballot papers, pending hearing and conclusion of a NASA case against IEBC's choice of the Dubai company. In the suit, NASA claims that the Al Ghurair firm is linked to the Kenyatta family and could print excess ballot papers to favor the ruling Jubilee government during the August polls.
Wanasukuma tu mpaka muende Dubai. Mpaka tuende Dubai. Nasema hatuendi Dubai. Sisi turudi Misri. Tunaenda Kanani.
Hata wakitaka kupatia kampuni ya Spectre ya Raila Odinga wapatie, sisi tutashinda uchaguzi.
But we also know that the leader of NASA met another print media house called Pearl Media Limited in South Africa, which is why we are saying the two of them may have committed electoral malpractice, which IEBC should be able to investigate.
But speaking in Homa Bay County, the Chief Justice David Maraga threw a spanner in the works, assuring the IEBC that no cases filed now or later will be a stumbling block for Kenyans to participate in the coming election on the 8th of August.
At least 45 days from the date of election, the IEBC should have the entire list so that they can print the ballot papers. There is no question of us not holding a general election on 8th of August.
The electoral body IEBC has remained adamant against any plans to revoke the tender on grounds that it will greatly affect the election timeline. The company was to begin printing the rest of the ballot papers from Friday, save for the presidential ones, whose printing was slated to begin on the 18th of next month.
It's only company we came up with which can do that process. We didn't want to have a split tender where you have 3-4 companies printing ballot papers for elections in this country, because that is a recipe for rigging.
Let us all know that we have a country. Elections come and go, but we have a country which we must keep together.
And now Third Way Alliance presidential candidate Dr. Ikuru Okot says he too will be seeking to be enjoined in the case, accusing IEBC of being rigid in their approach to the standoff and rejecting alternative proposals.
Remove the presidential ballot papers printing from Al Ghurair, give it to another independent firm, and there are many. In Kenya here, we can print them under the supervision of all political parties.
But constitutional lawyer George Kithi argues that moving to court was the best option for both the opposition and the IEBC, since in case the tender is cancelled, the Dubai-based company will not sue any sides for damages.
The company may easily have procured and secured the materials for printing and therefore incurred certain costs. So the only way that that can be done is when the tender is cancelled through a court process.
With 3 other presidential candidates seeking to be enjoined in that petition, all eyes will be in the judiciary in the coming weeks, given that the opposition is determined to pursue the matter up to the Supreme Court. Chris Dairo, KTN News in Nairobi.
Jubilee rallies in Nyeri County once again saw some residents resist the messages of 6-piece voting for Jubilee candidates on the ground, as some independent candidates seek to make an impact. And as Jeff Kirui now reports, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto have promised to expand the Thika superhighway to Isiolo to ease transport of farm produce from the central region.
On the second day of his Central Kenya tour, President Uhuru Kenyatta was drumming up support for Jubilee candidates. But local politics of the region and the fierce battle facing Jubilee aspirants against independent candidates and those from smaller Jubilee-affiliated parties could not be avoided.
Tumekataa mambo ya Jubilee ati kusema ati ni suit. Sisi kaseme kiti yake ya president hiyo ni sawa. Governor ni sawa, women rep ni sawa, lakini ya MP hapa sio suit.
On his development agenda for the Nyeri residents, President Kenyatta pledged to expand the multi-billion Thika superhighway all the way to Isiolo.
Tuko na watu wetu wa African Development Bank ambao wamekubali ya kwamba hiyo barabara sasa watatusaidia ndio itoke Thika, ifike hapa Nyeri, ikielekea Nyanyuki mpaka Isiolo.
Mnajua mimi ni mtu ya mkono ya Uhuru Kenyatta. Si mnajua hivyo? Mnamna hiyo? Jameni, mimi nimekuja kutetea bosi yangu jameni. Mtapatia bosi yangu gafu. Mtampigia kura. Unajua Uhuru Kenyatta akikosa mimi nimezama.
The head of state yet again stressing that his second term would see his government make secondary education free.
Program ya free secondary, we have developed it for 4 years. In the first year, we provided additional capitation. In the second year, we provided money to eliminate examination fees. In the third year, we provided money for the expansion of infrastructure in schools, so that next year we can have free learning from Form 1 to Form 4.
They addressed the rallies even as their opponents in NASA went to court to stop the ballot printing tender.
Na mtu wa kitendawili ambao kazi yake ni kukuja kugawa wa Kenya kwa misingi ya kikabila, kuja kulete siasa ambaye haendi mbele au nyuma. Watu wa Nyeri mtakubali huyo mtu akuje aharibu kazi.
In the last general election, President Uhuru Kenyatta garnered 96% of the total votes cast in Nyeri County. Well, come August 8th, they are hoping that Nyeri residents will turn out and vote in Jubilee to the last man. Jeff Kirui, KTN News from the county of Nyeri.
Let's stay in Central, and indeed the campaign by Jubilee, of course, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the fight between Jubilee Party aspirants and independents in President Uhuru Kenyatta's backyard boiled over with an MP making a police report of alleged threats. Tetu Member of Parliament Ndungu Githinji reports that the Nyeri County Commissioner, Julius Karuku, had threatened him. In the statement to the police, Githinji, who is the Secretary General of the Kenya Alliance of Independent Candidates, claimed that the commissioner called him to warn him against attending President Kenyatta's rallies in Nyeri.
I received a call from a strange number, somebody claiming to be the county commissioner of Nyeri County, one Julius Karuku. And he proceeded to inform me that as an independent candidate, I had no business attending the function of the president, who is currently in Nyeri County. The call duration lasted for 1 minute and 35 seconds. He told me that this is a Jubilee function and that I was not welcome. He then proceeded to threaten my person by saying that he has information that I am planning to shout down the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya in their leg in Teto. And he then proceeded to tell me that if that were to happen, I will be treated as an enemy of the state.
So there's a show that we'll have immediately after this bulletin that looks at what has happened in the country politically in the last 1 week. We'll be speaking to the Tetu Member of Parliament, Ndungu Githinji, immediately after this bulletin. That's on KTN News. So if you want to hear what he will have to say, you'll have to tune in to KTN News. Let's move on now. And the National Super Alliance members have told the Trans Nzoia County residents that Jubilee has betrayed them and economically crippled their agricultural sector. Our senior political affairs reporter, Duncan Hayemba, covered NASA 5 rallies there and now reports.
On their day one of Western Kenya campaign trail, NASA traversed Trans Nzoia County, conducting 5 rallies in 5 constituencies: Kiminini, Cherangani, Kwanza, Endebes, and Saboti in Kitale town.
Wana Kitale wako tayari kwa mapinduzi. Mapinduzi ya unga. The unga revolution. Nasema Wakenya wana sababu. Wakenya wana nia. Wakenya wana uwezo ya kupeleka Jubilee nyumbani. Sababu ya kwanza na muhimu zaidi, wameharibu uchumi wetu. Gharama ya maisha imepanda. Bei ya unga iko wapi?
Tulianza safari hii tuliposema okoa Kenya. Na Kenya wakati wa kuokoa Kenya ni sasa.
Speaking moments after Chief Justice David Maraga had spoken in Homa Bay about expediting all court cases surrounding the August polls, NASA criticized the CJ over his comments.
I am advising the Honorable the Chief Justice to allow justice in this country to take root. When you have a person of the caliber of the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya making a statement, and I sincerely hope that he was misquoted, because if he was not misquoted, I would want to hear the Law Society of Kenya properly taking a position on this matter.
Trans Nzoia County being the country's breadbasket, the opposition capitalized on prevailing food crisis in the country, accusing Jubilee of letting down maize farmers in the region.
Wamekataa kulipa wakulima wa Kenya 3,200, lakini wakulima wa Mexico wanalipa 4,600. Vijana katika Kenya, percentage ya wale ambao hawana kazi sasa, it is the highest in Kenya's history. Kwa hivyo, nyinyi vijana, you have an obligation kungoa serikali ya Jubilee
because the Jubilee government has not created enough jobs for you.
Kutoka nursery mpaka form 4, mtoto wa Kenya, mzazi hatalipa hata ndururu. Na hii itaanza tarehe 1 mwezi wa 9.
Compensation of IDPs in Trans Nzoia was also addressed, with NASA promising to deliver equity to all.
Nataka kutuma ujumbe kwa Uhuru Kenyatta. Nasema Uhuru Kenyatta, wacha bla bla bla.
NASA returned to Trans Nzoia County a few days after President Uhuru Kenyatta led Jubilee Party on vote-hunting mission. On Friday, NASA will pitch tent in Moses Wetangula's backyard, Bungoma County. Bearing in mind that for the longest time, Trans Nzoia had been traditionally the bedrock of Ford Kenya and now ANC, NASA team is hoping that with their day-long charm offensive, the move will definitely yield results in their favor come August 8th at the ballot. Duncan Haimba, KTN News, Kitale, Trans Nzoia County.
All right, so you have Duncan Haimba on the trail of NASA and Jeff Kirui on the trail of Jubilee. They will keep walking around and moving around with the candidates and reporting in a way only we here at KTN can. Let's move away from politics now. At least 15 people, among them 2 doctors who are staying at Nairobi's Western Hotel, are suspected to have cholera and are undergoing treatment at various hospitals within Nairobi. They were among 400 participants at a scientific conference at the Western Hotel here in Nairobi. The conference was today on its 4th day when the reports of this illness came to light. Numbers of those affected may rise, as our Dr. Mercy Korir now reports.
A number of medical professionals had converged at the Western Hotel for a scientific conference to discuss lung health, but instead, some of the medics are nursing food poisoning suspected to be cholera.
The patients were presenting with nausea, vomiting, fatigue, and diarrhea.
Measures were quickly put in place to treat those affected on site.
We also had to mobilize resources to make sure that those who are sick are taken care of, either referral or treatment.
Confirmation of the bug that has scuttled the medical conference is being worked on.
We took samples, both food items and water from the hotel, to National Public Health Lab to find out what it could be. We have also taken stool samples to the same institution. The results are not yet out. But presentation of these cases is not typical of cholera.
Cholera is a bacterial disease that causes watery diarrhea after eating contaminated food or water. It takes between 12 hours and 5 days for symptoms to show. If untreated, the diarrhea causes dehydration that can lead to death. Suspected cases of cholera are confirmed by identifying the bacteria in the stool samples of affected patients. This takes at least 48 hours. Usually, cholera is associated with lack of clean water and poor sanitation. Therefore, prevention and control of cholera involves hygiene and proper sanitation, treatment and use of cholera vaccines.
Eating food, the source you are not sure of, and water, which you are not sure of, is not, we should take water, particularly drinking water from a source, you know. And also, when you visit the small room, you should wash your hands.
The search for the source of the infection has been intensified from both patients and the Western Hotel.
We are looking at those cases. We are treating retrospectively, going backwards to see where they come from, to try to identify index cases. Food handlers in the hotel, we are trying to analyze them, lab analysis of stool, blood, to ascertain whether any of them could be source of this infection.
That is a laboratory exercise that will take the next 48 hours. The Ministry of Health and the county government of Nairobi are yet to confirm the source and whether this is actually a cholera outbreak. Dr. Masi Korir, KTN News.
Whether or not that is a cholera outbreak, we will find out for you here at KTN. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a short break. We'll be back with more stories, including that story I told you about that was done by John Alanamo. He's now in studio with me. And we'll look at the numbers of the police and how exactly they intend to secure